And let's see. Oh, sweet. Okay, we are live. So I am Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise Presses. I'm here with Agatha. I'm going to say your last name so wrong, so please don't kill me. Cecile?
Very close. So it's actually derived from Cecilia.
Oh,
So
sweet.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, that totally makes sense. So I'm here to for a new series that we have, which is basically called Author's View, where we're sitting down with some of our favorite authors and just asking them some really basic questions. Because I mean, we realized when we were like talking to people, I don't know about you, but at least me as a reader, like I love knowing the stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
So we thought, hey, let's do it, right? Let's bring forward all the cool behind the scenes stuff. So anyway, so Agatha wrote Before You Met Me. So Before You Met Me is a confessional poetry and prose book that was created in tandem with her therapist who helped guide her through the healing process. Agatha uses the art of writing as a way to unspool the murky web of memories inside our unconscious minds in an effort to bring them to conscious awareness. Before You Met Me provides insight into the underlying mental health issues that readers encounter but never really reveal. The book includes snapshots of decades old diary entries and authentic written correspondence between the protagonist and her loved ones. These stories were crafted around her own memories and explore her deepest thoughts and feelings, attempting to express those things that are typically unexpressed. And so with that, I just want to say thank you so much for writing this. So like full disclosure, I was the editor for Before You Met Me, and I had the distinct pleasure to work with Agatha on the narrative prose poem. Really more, I would call it, I would argue that it's also a memoir in many capacities. But I would love to hear like what inspired you to really pursue, because I'll let you tell viewers what Before You Met Me is about, because I think it's incredibly bold of you to bring this forward. So
Thank you.
yeah, what inspired you? What brought it forward?
Well, for a few decades, I wanted just to tell my story because I thought that it would be important for a lot of other young survivors out there who just needed to feel as if they weren't the only ones who had experienced any childhood trauma. And, and also the more positive outlook that even though you had the childhood trauma, that you are able to become a functioning human adult in the future and have a positive outlook on life. And it is possible. And it's not always a sad ending. So I really wanted to highlight that as well. But the reason why I'd started when I did, which was in 2020, just like everyone else, we were locked in our homes, and the people started to think about what they can declutter in their homes. And I had a habit of collecting different journals over decades. I mean, since I was 8 years old, I've had journals that I've written stories in. And I kept all letters that have ever been written to me. I also kept other documents that would kind of highlight things that you hope to find if you're on ancestry.com, and these things just to prove like your existence. And I knew it was taking up space, and I didn't want to just toss the material without going through it first. But I also knew that it would be very difficult for me to read the letters on my own and read the old childhood diaries on my own. So I was kind of always reluctant to read and then toss and then think about, well, how am I going to remember everything? Because I want to write it down, but I don't want to keep it, but I want to condense it. So there was a lot of emotions I went into it. So I decided that I would speak to a therapist and work through it with her. And when I gave her the idea, and I was like, listen, if we can at least go through one, let's just start with one, maybe half of one, maybe a few, depending on the mood of that week, and go through this together. And I could decide what I would like to keep and what I would like to throw away. So at least I could keep the documents on camera where I would just take a photo of it and say, I will use this somehow in the future, but at least the physical paper is not in my hands anymore. And then that became kind of like the beginning routine of how I kind of took all of those different documents and created the poemoir out of it.
Wow. So for those who, well, I'm going to put a link to the book itself in the chat. And by the way, if anyone's watching, please feel free to ask any questions, and you know, we can bring it forward during our convo. You know, I know originally you had submitted this as to us for our novella anthology. And when I read it, I was like, oh my God, like, I know that this is really, it's like 40,000 words, 45,000 words, which technically it's a novella, but like, I was like, this has to come forward as a standalone. And thank you, by the way, for agreeing to do that, because you could have easily just said, no, screw you. I only want this to be in an anthology. When you were going through this, because you really beautifully bring forward the emotional experience of childhood trauma, but also the acknowledgement of like, okay, I acknowledge this trauma, and you know, and then you basically walk the reader through what it means to not only acknowledge the trauma, but then through that acknowledgement, work through it, and basically give yourself the right or the gift of saying, you know, it's okay that I had trauma, and in some ways it's a blessing. Like, it, you know, it enabled me to be stronger in these various capacities, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is that self-awareness is so rare. And what kind of gave you that gift of to say, you know what, it's okay that I had trauma, and to walk people through how to work through that, if that makes sense. I feel like I just
Yeah.
blathered.
No, I get it, because it's definitely a subject that's not easy to try and speak about. But I don't, honestly, I struggle with understanding where I got that from. I mean, I honestly, I think often, why is it that I did come out on the strong end and really try to take my experiences and direct them into a more positive light. But I maybe because I was the oldest child and I was more responsible. I have no idea. I mean, that's usually what I come through. I'm like, here's something that other psychologists would say and talk about or see online and think, oh, that's why I am the way I am. But it really, at the end of the day, I'm not sure. But I do know that the reason I had to keep going strong throughout my childhood was because of the amount of threats that were given to me to just keep quiet about everything that was happening in my trauma childhood. And so I felt as if I needed to take ownership to keep the people around me safe. And so I always grew up with that adult, more mature mentality, where I didn't really have time to be a child and just grew up very quickly. And then therefore, it just all happens, you know, so fast when, you know, you're out of it and you're just like, oh my goodness. And, you know, and I just tried to take and to appreciate everything that I do have. And I do appreciate that there are people who are not as lucky as I am. And I just try to just see the more positive light and the glass, you know, half full instead of half empty.
Totally got it. That's awesome. When readers come in and check out Before You Met Me, what do you hope they get from the work? and you have a few other works out as well. Is there anything that you hope that people get out of it, or kind of feel like an emotional connection to? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that it's never an easy conversation to have, and some people are very open about their trauma, and some people are not, and they just want to forget it and hide away from it.
Mhm.
And that was me. So that's why I wrote everything down in the book. And even though I have the book with me and I can look at the front cover, I can look at the back cover. Have I actually gone through and read it like again? Like, no, I have not. Like, I know what I wrote, I know what's in there. But I would not want to, for myself right now, just go back and like open up those old wounds, because I feel like everything that I have said, I put in there as a form of self healing. So I would like people to take away from reading the book just to have like your own process of self healing. And if that means that you write everything down and you just express how your thoughts are coming together, feelings that you have from the past, things you want to let go, then that's okay. And I think you do have to get it out there. It doesn't need to be published, but you definitely can write the words down on a page. And because there's just something very euphoric about it and lifting that, at the end of the day, what you can do, which is what I did, was when I took all those journals and entries that I had read through and decided, okay, here's my purge moment, and lit a fire in the fire pit outside back, and on it was a blood moon, and I went out and just burned everything. It
Mm.
wasn't going in the trash and going in the garbage can and, look, we hauled away somewhere. Like, I wanted it completely disintegrated, gone, done, and that was it. So, and that was very powerful for me. So I hope others, if they are in, or they were in a similar situation, that they also know they have the power to release that energy as well.
That's phenomenal. So with that, I want to thank you on behalf of readers for giving us the gift of Before You Met Me. And I don't know, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers?
Well, I think some people have asked me before as to my name, Agatha Sicil, because it is a pseudonym, and obviously it's done on purpose and with the things that are written in the book. But just why did I come up with that name? And it's because it is from the patron saints, Agatha of Sicily.
Mm.
And Agatha of Sicily is someone who, where in Catania, where she was a person who was often abused sexually, and she was in jail, and she was one who is known for protecting nurses and women who were victims of abuse. And so there is a parade that they do every year in Catania, in Sicily. And I'm actually going next month. It's always the first week of February, where you honor the patron saint on February 5th. And just going there to kind of bring the release of this book on January 29th full circle to the name and the reason why I chose Agatha, which is also my confirmation name. And just kind of just embrace and celebrate there on my own. So it's gonna be quite interesting.
I can't wait to hear about that experience. I'm sure it'll be absolutely phenomenal. And with that, again, I want to thank you so much. Again, truly a pleasure to bring forward Before You Met Me to eager readers. And with that, again, thank you. And
Thank
actually,
you.
maybe we can talk after you go on that trip. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you so much.